We will air that live here at 8:50 WFTL. Will there be any surprises, though, coming from the president's speech tonight? Will it go off the teleprompter at all? Rick Santorum, former presidential candidate, Republican power player. What can we expect? Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you very much, Bill. It's great to be with you. I think the president tonight is really going to stick to the script. I mean, I know that sounds really unusual for this president, but this is a speech that I think is going to be a really defining one for him. He's been defined by the media, by his Twitter accounts, and by some of the offhand comments that he's made. But this is an opportunity to sort of set the record straight and remind the American public really all the things that he's been able to accomplish, as Sarah Huckabee Sanders just talked about, particularly through his just management of the government. I mean, he has basically repealed Barack Obama's agenda to stifle this economy, and now we're seeing the results.
You know, it's ironic, Rick, because there are a lot of people saying, well, the pressure, this is be his most difficult speech. It's the biggest challenge. Okay, I'll give you that. But in fact, it really should be easy, because all you have to do are point to factual accomplishments that are irrefutable and just highlight those. And if he just stuck to that, that would be a successful speech, wouldn't it?
It really would. I mean, the amazing thing about this entire year is because of the investigations and the like I said, the Twitter wars and all the things had really distracted the American public away from the substantive accomplishments of this president, and that's really an opportunity for him. And here's my only caution to him is, let the speech speak for itself. Stay on Twitter for 24 hours after the speech, and allow it to sink in the American public. Don't distract away from it, and that's the most important thing. Don't get suckered into somebody commenting the next morning about something or another, criticizing him on something or another. You're going to get criticisms, but the American public needs an opportunity for you to lay out your record and let that record sink in a little bit and let people debate it.
Rick Santorum joining us live now. Overall, though, on the Twitter usage, how do you feel about that? Overall positive or not?
Well, I would say, there are certainly a lot of positive things. I mean, people don't focus on it, but there are a lot of positive things he's done on Twitter. It's just those, the 15 or 20% that that sort of light your hair on fire. They get people distracted, and obviously, I would say candidly overall probably negative, and only because there's so much this president has done that, and we're just talking the economy, but he's repealed in many respects Barack Obama's feckless foreign policy, and you saw it just from the reaction from Davos. People who don't like him, let's just be honest, they don't like him. They don't like a lot of what he's doing, particularly economically and otherwise. But they know that America is back, and they know they're back. They're back economically. They know they're back from a standpoint of being tough trade negotiators. They know they're back in following through with our foreign commitments. I mean, this is a very different America facing out than what we saw with a really weak and I think somebody like a Barack Obama who saw America at the end of its greatness, to Donald Trump, who says, we can make America great again.
And Rick Santorum, I haven't really been able to speak to you until after the election, and you were senator of Pennsylvania. You were the runner-up to Mitt Romney in the presidential Republican primaries, and then you were part of the 17 people running for the GOP against Trump. And so how did you feel when he actually won Pennsylvania? And do you think, they're saying that you actually helped him win the White House? Do you believe that?
Well, here's what I would say. I ran in 2012, and as you mentioned, I was a senator from Pennsylvania for 12 years. I wrote a book back in 2014, which was sort of a little bit of my, if you want to say, my magnus opus. I mean, this was what I wrote about what I thought was the future of the Republican Party and the future of our country that the Republican Party had to turn to if we were going to be successful and if we were going to make America successful. And the name of the book was called Blue Collar Conservative. And I wrote the book in 2014, and a few months later I got a call from Donald Trump, who asked me to come by and see him. And I thought, I didn't know Trump. I mean, I'd met him, but I didn't know him. And I thought, well, that's sort of an odd request. And but he didn't say why. And so I walked into his office, and there he is sitting behind his desk holding a copy of my book. And
Look at that.
And I walked in before I said anything. He said, "I read your book." Well, I looked at it. I said, yeah, sure, you read my book. And he said, no, I read your book. It's a great book. And I said, you didn't read my book. He said, yes, I did. And we proceeded to talk, and he talked about the book and talked about this is, Americans, working men and women are left behind, and manufacturing and trade and and all these things. And I was like, wow.
Did read it.
And then he said this, I discounted the entire conversation because he made this ridiculous assertion that he was going to run for president. And, I didn't. And so, but the bottom line is, look, Donald Trump felt those things before he read my book. But my point is he understood that this was the key to winning Pennsylvania and Michigan and Ohio and West Virginia and Wisconsin.
Absolutely.
Et cetera. And I believed then, I believed when I ran in 2012, when I campaigned to get Mitt Romney, that the key to defeating Barack Obama, and I think, candidly, I would have defeated Barack Obama, is because we would have run well in those areas that your typical Republican from the last several nominees didn't connect with working men and women, didn't have a more populist agenda, and that was, unless we continue to run these types of Republicans, we're not going to win elections because the math just doesn't stack in our favor unless we can win the upper Midwest.
Yeah, from the get-go then, he understood that, the forgotten man and woman in those states, in Pennsylvania and other states too. And Rick, you can tell that he liked you and he did read your book because he never gave you one of those nasty nicknames.
No,
it really is amazing. Of all the folks in the race, I'm the only person he never attacked.
Right. And you endorsed him.
I did. Yeah, it took a while. I mean, I was hesitant to because I was concerned about some of the Twitter activity and all the other things that were going on. But no, I did, and I campaigned for him, and I continue to go out and. I work at CNN right now, and I get battle pay, combat pay for going out and defending Trump on CNN.
You work at CNN?
I was going to say, so good luck with that beehive.
I'll be on tonight for 4 hours tonight. I'll be on from 8 to 12. Commenting on the president, and I'll be probably the lone wolf on the panel, but it'll be fun.
That's all right. Fight the good fight.
Wow.
It'll be a heck of a speech. Our contention is, Rick, we think this is going to be the most watched in history, and a lot of young voters, a lot of people who are just getting involved with the process will watch it for the first time. So thanks for sharing your thoughts. We'd love to catch up with you again sometime. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. God bless. Bye-bye.
Take care. Rick Santorum.
On CNN for 4 hours. Holy moly.
God, how does he do it? Hazard pay is right.